Press play.
Replay, replay, replay.
You're watching Play Replay with Async. Today I want to talk about some of my favorite PlayStation 2 games. So this is going way back, and I'm sure a lot of people are probably not into some of this stuff, but it's something I always kind of wanted to talk about. It's something I'm interested in. So let's just talk about these things. So I'm not gonna go like top 10 or something like that. I'm just gonna really just kind of openly just talk and just kind of freestyle it, I guess. But some of the games that I enjoyed on PlayStation 2, well, the first one I would say is Half-Life, and I've talked about this in other things before, but Half-Life was one of my favorite games for PlayStation 2, and it's kind of strange that the game ended up on PlayStation 2, but anyway, it was on PlayStation 2, and it was the first time I ever played Half-Life, so it's kind of new to me at that time. And I know people had played it on the PC before me because a lot of people were playing it at the time on the PC. And I'm sure they were playing Counter-Strike and stuff like that as well. But it's just one of those cool games that just blew my mind as just what you could do with a game like a first-person shooter and stuff. And at the time, it was a really brilliant game. So Half-Life 2, I got to put on this list of great games that I played on PlayStation 2. Now, a lot of the games on this list are not going to be a lot of other people's favorites because I think I'm kind of a weird person when it comes to these things. I'm kind of into strange and bizarre, not so popular games sometimes, and I'm not a sports person. I don't really play any sports games or anything like that. I'm always kind of into playing by myself on like a solo campaign type of game, you know. So all these games are pretty much in that ballpark. But the next one I would say is going to be Red Faction, since that's another first person. The Red Faction, the first one and the second one were pretty good, but the first one specifically, I enjoyed that very much. I remember when I got, like, they had these PlayStation magazines at the time that you could get in stores and stuff, and they had like a like they come with discs, like a demo at the time, and I got this game, and I got the game with the demo, and the demo was I think I got this in a store. Now that I think about it, I might not have. Maybe it got sent to me in a mail. I don't know, some subscription I had. I don't know. Anyway, but it came with Red Faction as a demo, and I thought, oh, what's this game? And I tried out the demo of Red Faction, and I was hooked. I was like, wow, this is a great game. And of course, so I bought the game when it came out or whatever, and I just enjoyed that game. There was just so much fun to this game. It was just it was a fun first-person shooter game that you could destroy the environments and kind of find a way around. You could literally blow holes in the like dirt and the stone and stuff, and kind of climb your way up to another place higher than where you're at, and you could just literally change the environment. I just haven't seen a game to this day that really does that very much, and it was such a amazing thing at the time that you could literally change the environment in this game and literally get to places, and it was just so fun, and the weapons were fun. Everything was cool about this game. So it's just one of those games that I always will have fond memories about. I mean, it's just a very cool game. And the second one, I believe you could do the same, and it was a fun game as well. I don't think it was as fun as the first one, though. And then after that, the Red Faction franchise kind of just went away and didn't really make any great things that were groundbreaking like that first game, as far as I'm concerned. But they were fun games, and I would definitely say that if you're playing PlayStation 2, you should try out Red Faction if you like first-person shooters, because that one was it was fun. It was really fun. And I can't speak highly enough about that game. So the next one I want to talk about is, well, I guess I'll just say the Legacy of Kain franchise. I'll classify it as that, because there's a bunch of games within that heading that fit into interesting games that I enjoyed. Mainly because the story was interesting. It's vampires, and it's not made for everybody. And technically I'm a Christian. I probably shouldn't be playing it either. But I at the time I was playing it. I haven't played it for a long time, but they are kind of not very good. Like you're playing kind of a villain, you know. But the Legacy of Kain Blood Almond games with dealing with Kain. I've never played the first Blood Almond game, but the Blood Almond 2 game, that was interesting. And yes, you're playing as a big bad guy villain, and you're Kain, and you're kind of finding your way through this map. And there's some interesting elements to this where his friends, his vampire friends, are being milked for like this energy that they use in the city. It's really strange, but anyway, and you basically become more powerful as the game progresses, and you get to solve little puzzles and this type of stuff. It's very cool, and Kain is a very good villain, but you do play as him in the game, and you can even use like mind control type of stuff sometimes in the game, and it's interesting. It's very interesting gameplay anyway. But it is in the Legacy of Kain franchise, so there's a bunch of games, and amongst them there's the Legacy of Kain the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, and those games are kind of cool too. The first one was PlayStation 1, and that game was interesting because they had a lot of angel type of names, which is strange to me. But you play as one of the people that was underneath Kain, and Kain killed him and kind of flung him off, and it just kind of burned. He got burned really bad, and he was like a skull. He has like a scarf thing that he wraps around his lower, because his lower half of his jaw is gone, and you could just see his fangs. Anyway, so you run around and you're playing this character, and he's a soul reaver basically. He takes people's souls, which is horrible if you think about it. But it's totally fictional. It's not even realistic because you can't do that in real life, obviously. So he feeds off souls, and he gets more powerful, and he has a sword that's basically like wrapped around his hand, and it's imbued with certain powers and stuff, and he can go into like the spectral realm, and you can go into the real realm, and you can kind of see the contrast between the two, the spirit realm and the real world. Anyway, and how things have changed since he's been dead, basically. And this progresses into Soul Reaver 2, and Soul Reaver 2 is even, I think, better, because Soul Reaver 2 kind of shows like time change, like the period of time travel in a sense, and you get to see how these vampires have progressed, and you can also see them in in the past. You also see him in the past in that game, but you get to, there's just interesting elements to these games that I don't really see a lot in most games, especially today. Today they don't have any creativity to make anything new. It seems like they just want to remake everything. But I just think that those games are interesting, even though they're gory and they're violent. But you know, there's a lot of violent games out there. So anyway, the next ones I'd like to talk about is Ico. Ico is a cool game. It's a very interesting game. It's like you don't really need a lot of words to describe what's happening in the game. So they don't really talk. It's just this little boy, and he meets up with this girl, and he has to basically, she gets broken out of this cell, and he has to take her, and he's just trying to, you know, get her through all this maze and this labyrinth of stuff without these shadow creatures taking her away. It's just so, it's kind of a simple idea, but it's very well executed in this game. And this game really needs an upgrade. Like, this could be a high def HD game that plays, this would be so cool. But anyway, the game feels like real characters though. Like when the girl will fall, and the way she falls, and she kind of just falls down and struggles to move, it just feels like a real person. And the way Aiko picks her up and says, "Let's go," you know, he grabs her by the hand and he tries to get her up these stairs, and he uses sticks and weapons to fight off these like shadow dust type of creatures that come out of the ground. It's just such a cool thing, and you have to solve puzzles. You have to climb up certain things. It's a very interesting game. And I've never seen a game much like it since this game came out. I don't see many games that are like this. Now, maybe there are games that are out there like this. I don't know everything. But it's just a very interesting game, and I think it's very worth noting. And if you have a PlayStation 2, this is a must play. If you like bizarre kind of games that are not your average type of gameplay where you're just doing the same old thing. This is definitely a different kind of game. It feels like an indie story. It doesn't feel like a mainstream type of thing, and I just love it. And I know there was a Shadow of the Colossus or something like that. I can't remember exactly the name, but anyway, that's made by the same company. I don't think that's tied to this game. I've never actually played that one, and I'm sure somebody out there is saying, "How could you not play that game and you like Ico?" Okay, well, I just haven't never gotten around to playing it. I never bought it or never played it. So I hear good things about that game, and that's got a similar kind of look and feel to it, I imagine. But I just never played it, so I don't know. Anyway, it's a great game. I would definitely advise you to buy it if you want to play PlayStation 2 game. It should be in your collection. So the next one is Metal Arms. It's a game that was on PlayStation 2 and Xbox, the original Xbox, and it's a kind of a fun feeling. Like, it's kind of got comedy. It's a little bit serious in some regards, but it's kind of a kid's type of game, like a platforming type of, I don't know, I guess it kind of feels like a Banjo-Kazooie type of game, but it's robots. And you're kind of just going through all these levels, and it's just such a massive, it feels like a massive game. And you get different weapons, you're collecting cogs from things that you destroy and these robots that you're destroying. And it really it's a fun game. And you just enjoy the adventure when you're playing this game. You're just all in. If you enjoy the comedy and the kind of sarcastic, it's very fun, and it's a great robot game. It's just little robots, and they're just kind of, it's like you got like this squadron of robots, and there's robots dying constantly, but you get to follow like a general type of, he's telling you what to do, and anyway, he helps you along, and you got to solve all these things and get through these different places. You can actually get on vehicles and stuff, and there's boss battles. It's a fun game, and if you've played it, trust me, you know what I'm talking about. It's a cool game, and it's well worth noting, but unfortunately, it never really got any real fame when it came out. I mean, when it came out, within like a year of the time when it came out, I remember back seeing this thing at Target on sale around Christmas for like almost nothing, like $14 or $9. I was like, this game is well worth the money. If you're getting it for that price, you just got yourself a good game. So it's something I always wanted to note that people should check out. I mean, there are other games like it out there, and I didn't really play many games like this. I always wanted shooters, more or less, but for some reason I didn't get a lot of shooters. I got a lot of other stuff for some reason. But anyway, it's definitely worth adding to your collection if you have a PlayStation 2 game collection, and it's something I really enjoyed. So anyway, moving on to the next one. And this one is, if you know me and you know that I'm a Transformers fan, then you'll know that I probably was going to say this anyway. But there's a game on PlayStation 2, and it's called Transformers, but it's really Transformers Armada, because there was a series on at the time, and I think it was like 2004 or something. Anyway, it was a series called Transformers Armada, and you're collecting mini-cons, these small little Transformer robots, and you use them as power-ups to your main robot that you're playing. And you get to play as 3 different Autobots, and you can you kind of go through these missions and these levels, and each level is kind of like a sandbox you can play in. It's kind of open world feeling, and you kind of have to go find these mini cons and collect them, and you collect other things that are in the game. It's a really fun game, and yes, you can transform. You play as Optimus Prime, Hot Rod, or no, you play as Optimus Prime, Hot Shot, not Hot Rod, and Red Alert, and these are the Transformers Armada versions of them, so they're not like other versions that you see out there. But anyway, I just think this is kind of a cool game, and I wasn't a huge fan of the Armada cartoon series, but I did love this game. This game is well worth playing. And unfortunately, it's an older game now, so of course the graphics aren't great. It's not high definition and all that stuff. So it's one of those games you have to deal with, kind of the blurrier screen and not the greatest looking. But it is a fun game, and it's well worth playing if you like Transformers. It's got some very good maps to play. All of the zones that you're playing in are just cool. The collecting of stuff was fun. The mini cons, collecting some of them, they turn into like some of your weapons that you can use. And there's even a like cheat code stuff where you can max out your mini cons so you can have the best of the best type of weapons. It's just a fun game, and I'm going to give you a spoiler. At the very end of the game, you fight Unicron. I mean, that is cool. So it's not the best kind of fight that you could have of Unicron, but you do fight Unicron. So, I mean, that kind of... And today, when you talking about that, people just think of Transformers: Rise of the Beast, because that was in that movie. But you get to fight that thing that you see in the Transformers Rise of the Beast movie, that giant that giant Transformer planet, in that game, and that is something to definitely say that you couldn't do that in any other game that I've seen. So it's something worth noting anyway. So I'm trying to think of any other games off the top of my head that I don't have or do want to play or whatever. But I think that Resident Evil 4, that's always one that's on. I think that's on every incarnation of every system now. That's just kind of like the game that keeps getting brought through. I mean, Resident Evil games in general, but Resident Evil 4 is always a lot of people's favorite games. So you could play that on PlayStation 2, and that one... I never finished Resident Evil 4 because it's such a long game. I originally played it on GameCube, and that one was... it was like 2 discs, and it was so big. Anyway, it just took forever. And that game is it has a lot of tension in it, so you're kind of constantly like, and I don't like the controls and stuff where you have to hold the trigger or whatever, and you have to aim your gun, and you have to kind of move like you're aiming something. But anyway, it's a kind of a pain in the butt. Well, those are my main favorite games that I have for my PlayStation 2, and that I like to play, So I don't want to make this video super long, but anyway, tell me what games you like for PlayStation 2 and why you like them, and ones that you thought were really cool when you were playing the system or whatever. Or maybe you're still playing it, I don't know. I'm still playing some of these games now that I pulled out my PlayStation 2. So anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.